the footprint evidence, the casts that were recovered from this site, I would be very convinced of the credibility of the film. The Sasquatch has retained the more primitive characteristic of a very flexible instep, a midfoot flexibility.
In October of 1967, two men rode into the forests of Northern California and captured 59 seconds of footage that may have broken modern science. For nearly 6 decades, experts called it a hoax, a man in a suit, a publicity stunt, a grainy piece of wilderness folklore. But in 2024, artificial intelligence examined the footage using the same forensic systems designed to expose deepfakes, CGI manipulation, and fabricated evidence in criminal investigations. What it discovered was far more disturbing than anyone expected, because the AI didn't prove the creature was fake, and it couldn't prove it was real. Instead, it found something that should not exist at all. October 20th, 1967. The location was Bluff Creek, deep inside the forests of Northern California. Dense timber, cold air, endless stretches of wilderness where even daylight felt isolated. Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin were horseback riding through the area searching for reported Bigfoot tracks. Patterson carried a rented 16mm camera. Gimlin carried a rifle. Then everything changed. Near a fallen tree beside the creek, the horses suddenly reacted. Patterson later said his horse reared violently, throwing him to the ground. And standing near the water was something massive, covered in dark hair, walking upright. Not crouched, not hiding, watching them. Patterson grabbed the camera from his saddlebag and ran toward the figure while filming. That decision would create one of the most debated recordings in history. The footage lasts only 59 seconds, but every frame has been analyzed more than almost any other piece of film ever recorded. The creature walks away through the creek bed with a heavy, fluid motion. Its shoulders roll naturally. Its arms swing low beside its body. Then, at one unforgettable moment, it turns and looks directly into the camera before disappearing into the trees. That single glance would later become known as Frame 352. And according to AI analysis, it may be the most important frame in cryptozoology history. For decades, investigators tried to destroy the film's credibility. Hollywood costume experts studied it. Forensic analysts broke down the motion frame by frame. Skeptics attempted recreations. Researchers examined the footprints left behind at the site, but no one could fully explain it. Then artificial intelligence entered the investigation. Modern AI systems are trained to identify deception in video footage. They detect deepfakes, CGI artifacts, motion inconsistencies, manipulated anatomy, and synthetic movement patterns invisible to the human eye. These systems examine thousands of points per frame: joint rotation, muscle displacement, weight transfer, surface deformation, acceleration curves. Everything. When humans wear creature suits, certain patterns always appear. The fabric bunches unnaturally around joints. The body proportions expose the human frame underneath. Weight distribution remains human no matter how the person tries to walk. Even advanced Hollywood productions struggle to hide these flaws. But when the Patterson-Gimlin footage was analyzed, the AI found none of them. Not one. The fur did not wrinkle like a costume. The movement underneath the body covering appeared organic. Muscle groups shifted naturally beneath the surface. The proportions didn't match human anatomy. And the gait, the way the creature walked, completely diverged from normal human biomechanics. That detail shocked analysts the most, because even tall humans still move like humans. This thing didn't. The creature was estimated to stand over 7 feet tall. But according to the AI's motion analysis, the body mechanics didn't align with any known human proportions at that height. Its hips stayed unusually level while walking. Its stride length exceeded expected ratios. Its center of gravity shifted differently than a human body would. Even the arm movement appeared wrong. Humans naturally swing their arms opposite to their legs during movement. It's neurologically automatic, extremely difficult to fake consistently. But the figure in the footage moved differently. The arms swung lower and more heavily from the shoulders with minimal elbow flexion. Subtle details impossible to consciously perform for long periods, especially while moving across uneven terrain. Then the AI detected something even stranger. Beneath the fur, specific muscle groups appeared to contract independently. The upper back, the shoulders, the trapezius muscles. Tiny localized movements rippled beneath the surface exactly as real biological tissue would during motion. Not foam padding, not loose fabric, not a rigid suit. Actual anatomical movement. The AI systems built to expose fake creatures were essentially reporting the opposite conclusion. This did not behave like a costume, and that created a terrifying problem, because the system also couldn't identify what species it was looking at. Not human, not gorilla, not chimpanzee, not orangutan. Nothing in its biological database matched the movement patterns being observed. The AI reached a conclusion nobody expected. The figure appeared biologically real, but biologically unknown. Then investigators revisited the footprints, and the mystery became even worse. At the Bluff Creek site, Patterson and Gimlin had made plaster casts of the tracks left behind by the creature. Those casts still exist today. Using AI-assisted force modeling, researchers analyzed pressure distribution, foot flexibility, and stride mechanics. The results were deeply unsettling. The footprints showed evidence of a flexible midfoot. Humans have relatively rigid feet. Great apes, however, possess more flexible foot structures that allow different forms of movement and grip. The casts from Bluff Creek displayed that same kind of flexibility consistently across multiple footprints. Not just one print, an entire trail. Each impression showing the same anatomical behavior. To fake that in 1967 would have required advanced knowledge of primate biomechanics that most people outside specialized scientific circles didn't even understand yet. And there was another issue. The pressure depth suggested enormous body weight. AI modeling estimated the figure weighed somewhere between 540 and 760 pounds, far beyond normal human limits, and yet the movement in the film remained fluid, controlled, almost effortless. The footprints and the footage, two completely separate forms of evidence, were telling the exact same story. Something massive had walked through Bluff Creek, and whatever made those tracks did not move like a human being. For years, skeptics believed they finally solved the mystery. A man named Bob Hieronymus claimed he had worn the Bigfoot suit himself. According to the story, Patterson paid him to walk through the creek bed in costume while being filmed. Case closed. Except the story immediately began falling apart. Descriptions of the alleged suit contradicted each other. No photographs existed, no receipts, no surviving costume, no physical evidence, and when recreations were attempted using modern materials, they looked terrible, bulky, artificial, obviously human, even to the naked eye. But the AI analysis made the difference undeniable. Every recreated costume triggered immediate detection markers, wrinkling at the joints, human weight transfer, artificial fur behavior, normal human gait patterns. All the things absent from the original 1967 footage appeared instantly in the recreations. The gap between them wasn't small. It was catastrophic. The recreated versions looked fake within seconds. The original did not. And that may be the most disturbing detail of all. Bob Gimlin is now in his 90s. For more than 50 years, he has told the same story with almost no deviation, no confession, no retraction, no deathbed revelation. Despite ridicule, public scrutiny, and decades of pressure, he never changed his account. Roger Patterson also maintained until his death that the footage was genuine. Neither man became rich from the film. Neither gained the kind of fame people expected from such a legendary story. If it was a hoax, it became one of the most sophisticated deceptions ever created by complete amateurs in the middle of a remote forest in 1967. And according to modern AI, it still hasn't been replicated successfully. But the most chilling discovery was still waiting inside frame 352, the moment the creature looked back. By the time Roger Patterson reached the center of the creek bed, the camera was shaking violently. He had been thrown from his horse only seconds earlier. His heart was racing. The terrain beneath him was uneven, covered in loose gravel, fallen timber, and shallow running water. And ahead of him, walking calmly through the wilderness, was something no human being should have been seeing. Most people never notice what makes the Patterson-Gimlin footage so unsettling. It isn't just the creature itself, it's the behavior. Because whatever Patterson filmed didn't act frightened. It didn't sprint into the trees. It didn't panic. It didn't even seem surprised. The figure simply kept walking, steady, controlled, almost indifferent. And then came frame 352, the moment that changed everything. At approximately the 352nd frame of the film, the creature turns its head and looks directly toward the camera. For decades, people debated whether the movement was meaningful at all. Some claimed it was just a man glancing backward. Others argued the face was hidden by low film quality. But when modern AI systems enhanced and analyzed the sequence frame by frame, investigators discovered details earlier generations never could. The head turn was fluid, perfectly coordinated, not the stiff rotation of a mask sitting on top of a human head. The movement began naturally in the neck, traveled through the shoulders, and subtly shifted the upper torso in one connected motion. Exactly how real biological anatomy behaves. A costume headpiece usually moves independently. This didn't. The AI found no visible separation between the head and body, no loose material, no rigid mask behavior, no mechanical limitations. Everything moved as one living structure. But that wasn't the terrifying part. The eyes were. High-resolution enhancement revealed something hidden inside the grain of the original film. The creature's eyes appeared to track the camera, not stare blankly. Track it. As the head turned, the eyes adjusted focus toward Patterson's lens. Tiny, unconscious ocular movements, the kind living organisms perform naturally thousands of times every single day. The AI's facial and eye tracking systems flagged the motion as biologically authentic, and that detail created a nightmare for skeptics. Because realistic eye tracking is incredibly difficult to fake, even today. In 1967, it would have been nearly impossible. To recreate that effect inside a full-body creature suit, someone would have needed independently moving animatronic eyes synchronized perfectly with body movement while walking across rough terrain. Modern Hollywood still struggles with that challenge. Yet somehow, in a remote California creek bed nearly 60 years ago, this footage captured exactly that behavior naturally. The creature looked at the camera, focused on it, assessed it, then calmly turned away again, as if the men behind the lens didn't matter. That reaction may be the strangest part of the entire encounter. Animals usually react in predictable ways when confronted unexpectedly. Fight, flight, aggression, fear. But the figure in the Patterson Gimlin film displayed none of them. It didn't charge. It didn't freeze. It didn't run. It acknowledged the humans and kept walking, deliberately, calmly, like it had no reason to fear them. And that behavior has haunted investigators for decades. Because predators fear injury, unknown animals avoid confrontation. Even humans panic under sudden stress. But whatever appeared in that footage behaved with total confidence, almost familiarity, as though encounters like this had happened before. Then the AI investigation reached its most uncomfortable conclusion. There were only 3 explanations left, and every single one sounded impossible. The first possibility: the film is an elaborate hoax. If that's true, then Roger Patterson, a rodeo rider with limited money and no professional effects training, somehow created a creature suit decades ahead of Hollywood technology. A suit capable of fooling modern AI systems specifically designed to expose fabricated anatomy and artificial movement. Not only that, but he also produced realistic muscle displacement beneath the fur, impossible gait mechanics, biologically consistent footprints, accurate force distribution, and coordinated eye tracking, all in 1967, in the middle of nowhere, with no second takes, no production crew, and no surviving evidence of how it was done. If that explanation is true, it may be the greatest practical effects achievement in history, and somehow, nobody has successfully recreated it since. The second possibility is even harder to accept. The creature was real, not supernatural, not paranormal. An actual biological species, a massive, unidentified primate living somewhere within North America. But that theory creates another problem entirely. Because no body has ever been recovered. No skeleton, no confirmed DNA, no fossil evidence, nothing definitive. Thousands of sightings exist across decades, yet modern trail cameras, drones, satellite imaging, environmental DNA analysis, and wildlife surveys have failed to produce undeniable proof. How could a breeding population of giant primates remain hidden across an entire continent? Especially in the modern world? The deeper researchers looked, the more impossible the idea became. And yet, the footage refused to collapse under scrutiny, which led investigators toward a third possibility, one nobody was prepared for. What if the Patterson-Gimlin film captures something physically real, but something outside the systems we use to classify reality itself? The AI was designed to sort things into categories: human, animal, artificial, fake, known, unknown. But the system failed here, not because the footage looked artificial, but because it looked internally authentic while matching nothing in existence. The anatomy made sense. The movement made sense. The muscle mechanics made sense. The footprints matched the gait. Every layer of evidence reinforced the others. Yet the classification field remained empty. The AI essentially arrived at a conclusion no scientist ever wants to hear. This entity behaves like something real, but we do not know what it is. And that possibility may be more disturbing than proving Bigfoot exists, because it suggests there are limits to the systems we trust to define reality. Blind spots. Things that can leave physical evidence, pass forensic analysis, and still remain scientifically unnamed. Today, the Patterson-Gimlin film remains one of the most controversial recordings ever captured. Not because people want to believe in monsters, but because after nearly 60 years of investigation, nobody has been able to fully break it. Not scientists, not Hollywood, not forensic analysts, not even artificial intelligence. And maybe the most unsettling part is this. If the footage truly is genuine, then somewhere in the forests of North America, the creature from frame 352 may still be out there, watching. After the AI report became public, the internet exploded. Some people called it proof, others called it nonsense. Scientists dismissed it. Cryptozoologists celebrated it. And buried beneath millions of arguments was one terrifying reality. Nobody could explain why the footage continued surviving every attempt to destroy it. That was the real problem. Not belief, not mythology. Evidence, because hoaxes eventually collapse. Under pressure, flaws appear. Mistakes surface. Someone talks. Something breaks. But the Patterson-Gimlin film refused to die. And the deeper investigators looked, the stranger the story became. The original film was shot on 16mm Kodachrome stock, low resolution by modern standards. No digital enhancement, no editing software, no CGI. Just raw physical film recorded in the wilderness. Experts spent decades trying to identify manipulation inside the footage. Frame splicing, double exposure, optical tricks, hidden cuts. Nothing definitive was ever found. And every advancement in technology created a strange pattern. The clearer the footage became, the harder it was to dismiss. Modern stabilization exposed smoother movement. Enhanced contrast revealed muscle contours beneath the fur. Motion tracking produced consistent biomechanical data across multiple analyses. The film didn't deteriorate under scrutiny. It became more unsettling, almost as if technology itself was accidentally strengthening the case. Then there was the terrain. This detail is often overlooked, but investigators kept returning to it for one reason. The creature moved too naturally across difficult ground. The creek bed at Bluff Creek wasn't flat. It was unstable terrain filled with rocks, mud, fallen logs, and uneven surfaces hidden beneath shallow water. Humans in heavy costumes struggle badly under those conditions. Movement becomes stiff. Balance shifts unnaturally. Weight transfer exposes the performer immediately. Yet the figure in the film walked smoothly, efficiently, like the environment posed no challenge at all. The foot placement remained precise even while turning. The stride never hesitated. The body maintained stability despite the rough landscape. AI gait analysis later confirmed what experienced trackers had suspected for years. The movement looked instinctive, not performed. And there's a major difference between the two. A performer thinks about movement. A living organism simply moves. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect of the investigation wasn't the footage itself. It was the psychological reaction people had to it. Even skeptics who spent years debunking the film often admitted the same thing privately. Something about it felt wrong. Not fake, wrong. The creature's proportions trigger subtle discomfort in the human brain. Too broad, too heavy, too fluid. The movement sits inside what psychologists sometimes call the biological uncertainty zone, close enough to human anatomy to feel familiar, but different enough to create instinctive unease. Humans evolved to notice abnormalities in movement, predators, disease, danger. Our brains constantly analyze body mechanics subconsciously. And according to some researchers, the Patterson-Gimlin figure creates such a lasting psychological effect because the movement appears authentic, while belonging to something we cannot categorize. The brain recognizes life, but not identity, and that disconnect unsettles people on a deeply instinctive level. Then came another chilling realization. If the creature in the footage was genuine, it knew Patterson was there long before the camera started rolling. The distance between them wasn't small. The forest was quiet. The horses had reacted, yet the figure showed no panic whatsoever, meaning one of two things had to be true. Either it didn't perceive the humans as a threat, or it understood exactly how dangerous they were and wasn't concerned. That possibility changes the emotional tone of the footage completely, because when most people watch the film, they imagine Patterson observing the creature. But frame 352 suggests something else entirely. The creature was observing him too, carefully, intentionally. For one brief second, both sides studied each other across the creek bed, two unknowns staring back at one another. And then the moment ended forever. Roger Patterson died in 1972, just 5 years after filming the encounter. He never backed away from his story, never admitted fraud, never exposed some hidden trick. Even while dying from Hodgkin's lymphoma, he insisted the creature was real. Bob Gimlin carried the burden far longer. For decades, he avoided interviews entirely. Friends said the ridicule exhausted him. Strangers mocked him. Researchers interrogated him. Television hosts treated him like a joke. And still, through half a century of pressure, his account remained almost perfectly consistent. No changing timelines, no dramatic additions, no contradictions large enough to destroy credibility. That level of consistency over decades is extraordinarily rare in fabricated stories, especially when there's little personal gain involved. And that fact continues bothering investigators to this day. Eventually, the AI investigation reached its final conclusion. Not a declaration, not proof, a boundary. The system confirmed no evidence of costume artifacts, no evidence of fabricated motion, no evidence of digital manipulation. The anatomy remained internally coherent. The muscle movement appeared biologically authentic. The footprints matched the locomotion patterns. The eye tracking in frame 352 behaved naturally. Every measurable layer aligned with something real. And yet, no known species matched the data. The AI had effectively reached the edge of its own understanding. It could confirm authenticity, but not identity. And maybe that's the most important detail of all. Because humans like certainty. We divide the world into categories so reality feels manageable. Known animals, known science, known explanations. But every once in a while, something appears that slips between those categories completely. Something that refuses to fit. And whether the Patterson-Gimlin creature was an undiscovered primate, an evolutionary anomaly, or something stranger entirely, one fact remains undeniable. 59 seconds of film recorded in 1967 are still challenging modern technology nearly 60 years later. Not because the footage is blurry, but because the deeper we analyze it, the less certain we become. And somewhere inside those forests of Northern California, the mystery of frame 352 still waits, silent, unanswered, watching from the trees,